Always remember, the truth is the truth, whether you believe it or not. The lie needs your permission and participation to even exist. And the only one place that a lie can exist is in the minds of those who are foolish enough to believe it. You're in the 7 Club.
You're in the 7 Club. Here we are. It's good to see you guys. So today we're going to be talking about the conspiracy chart. Before we get started, though, I want to show you this SpaceX launch. There's just something weird with it, okay? Karen B, she showed this on her show, and I think the only reason I saw it was Leo, Level Earth Observer, possibly did this on YouTube. He did a viewing of it. So I went straight to the source, the guy on Twitter, or X, that posted it. It's one of those SpaceX launches where the rocket shoots up and then magically comes back down. Now remember, SpaceX, NASA, they're all invested in, holographic, virtual reality, stuff like that. So this could be a sham. It could be a real launch. I don't know. But there's definitely something weird with it. Look at this. What's up, Scott? I see you, bro. Look at this real quick. All right. We're going to flip over here. Now, if you guys are on TikTok, turn your screen sideways and full screen it so you can see a little bit better. I'm out of the way here, but watch the guy's phone that's filming it. You can see a guy holding his phone up, filming this rocket, and look how his phone has nothing on it. You can see the shoreline, you can see the boats, but there's no rocket, no fire, no smoke. Look at this.
Oh my god, I get the video.
Nothing on his phone. Look at that.
Like I'm in sci-fi. There it is. Wait.
There's nothing there. Okay, so I thought that was super weird. All right, I'm going to exit out. I'm going to show you this guy's channel. He's just got a few hundred followers on X. His name's Thomas Vikurta. This guy here looks like he's a pilot, but he's got all propaganda. He's got this
Starship is lifted into orbit
thing
by the Super Heavy booster, which then comes back to Earth. It meets up with another Starship, configured as a tanker, in order to refuel in Earth's orbit before making the long journey to the Red Planet. The booster isn't required for the return, since there's no deep gravity well to escape from on Mars. Starship flies solo, fueled by locally produced methane. So the entire...
I always thought that was funny. Locally produced methane. Okay, how is methane locally produced on a rocket that people are in, right? Going to Mars. Methane is farts. Dude, are they fart harvesting on this rocket? Are they harvesting your poop? Your I think they're harvesting farts for the onboard methane. I wouldn't put it past NASA or SpaceX to hit the public with a crazy fact like that because they love it. NASA coming up with the cotton candy planets. They loved doing that. Really get people's imagination going. What about Uranus smelling like farts? What about that one? They loved that one because they like to create this story for the public where they laugh at you for the next crazy thing that they have you the general public believing, that's one more thing that they can just laugh at you about. And that's kind of what it boils down to, if we're being honest. You know what I mean? Guys, by the way, I forgot to say, if you guys do want your comments to pop up on the screen on YouTube, there actually is a way to do that. Like this. You see? He says, expecting another powerful talk today. Cool. I'm glad you are. You guys can run to my link tree in my bio. Okay. And through my link tree, you'll find all the other platforms I'm on. YouTube being one of those that I'm on now. I'm streaming live on YouTube. This is one of my YouTube people right here, Steven, who has commented, and look at that. It popped up on the screen for all of you TikTokers to see. So if you haven't followed me, subscribe to my YouTube channel yet, do it. The screen's bigger, the sound is better, and it's just a better experience because, well, your comments could pop up on the screen, and I think that's a really cool concept. But today, our topic of discussion will be the conspiracy pyramid, the conspiracy chart. And this was developed in 2021, credit due to an Abby Richards. So this Abby Richards feels that she has figured it out on the conspiracy chart. She says, there's levels, she says. This is an all opinion based, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out. But she says right here in this category, it is things that actually happened. Okay, and she's got a list of stuff here. MK Ultra. Okay. Free Britney. Hashtag Free Britney. By the way, TikTok and YouTube alike, this is for entertainment purposes only. We're doing a show. We're going over material here, a conspiracy chart and things, and we'll be talking about that. Please don't hit me for misinformation because I see a lot of trigger words throughout this whole thing that might just get us to that point. So YouTube and TikTok, please forgive me if I use different terminology and words while explaining some of this stuff. But let's just get to the basics. So here's the chart. This is things that actually happened. Okay. We've got some things I haven't heard of. Big tobacco lying about yada yada. Cancer, yes, of course. NSA mass surveillance. Okay, we all know all of these happened. Why? Well, because the mainstream touched on it, basically. You got Watergate, you got Tuskegee experiment, you got big oil pushed climate disinformation, all right? Project Mockingbird, all right? So then the next level is we have questions. Now, in that category, see, this is what really blows my mind. It's in the we have questions category. This is the conspiracy chart, by the way. In the we have questions category, you've got UFOs, Area 51, JFK, right? We live in a simulation, which we're going to come back to that. Charles Manson being a CIA asset, okay? Epstein didn't himself, okay? Denver Airport. Is that the Lucifer thing, I guess? Jimmy Hoffa, whatever, disappearance. I haven't even heard of that, okay? But here's what I find crazy. By the way, this chart is leveled. It's categorized. So let's just go over the categories here. 1 is things that actually happened. 2 is we have questions. Next is unequivocally false, but mostly harmless. The next one is, this category here is dangerous to yourself and others. Okay, next one, this is the big warning here. World ruled by supreme shadow elite promotes hatred and violence toward marginalized groups. Okay, now let's move back down because as you see, here's how they have it categorized. Things get more and more dangerous as you go. All right, so to speak. Okay, now let's talk about this real quick, because in this category, we live in a simulation is one of the, we have questions. So the person who made this chart questions that we may be living in a simulation, which means if we live in a simulation, then that simulation has certain code and we would have certain operating systems. So these people would be able to be hacked. There would be deceptions and conspiracies running wild. And even if there wasn't physical things that happened, people could be programmed to believe as such. So how can you have, we live in a simulation, right, as we have questions, but then you have flat earth in the most dangerous red section. So it's so dangerous to believe that the earth might be flat, but you have questions on whether we live in a simulation or not. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. Hear me out. The simulation thing. All right. So I've had this thought, this little theory of my own, that I think we do live in a simulation of sorts. Now, hear me out. God, right, created the heavens and the earth. Ooh, TikTok is down. TikTok is down. I repeat. Wow. Yeah, it's gone. All right. Those of you on YouTube, can you just give me 1 second here and let me appeal that right quick while we're here. Okay. System account updates, live violations. It's only going to take me 1 second here. Appeal. Submit. Okay. Well, looks like we're just on YouTube. So, I believe we do live in a simulation of sorts. If God created the heavens and the earth, okay, and people who have had near-death experiences, they've crossed over to the other side, right? They've crossed over. Now, when they come back, doctors, friends, family, they all say the same thing. They say, oh, well, you must have had a dream. You must have had a hallucination. That wasn't real. But they all say the same thing when they come back from heaven. They say, no. This life here, this is the dream. Where I was more real than this. This is the dream. So, given just that simple fact, we live in a simulated reality next to heaven, next to the heavenly realms, to the kingdom of God. We do. Okay? Now, on the other hand, we live in an intelligently designed lower realm compared to the heavenly realms, right? Intelligently designed by the Creator. We look at quantum physics, quantum particle theory, the observer effect, the double slit experiment, which brought forth the observer effect. We look at the behavior of particles based on our observation. Okay, so if you're looking at particles going through the two slits, I suggest you look this up yourself. When you're not observing it, the particles act as waves. But as soon as you observe, they act as particle. Almost physicality itself manifests via observation. Right? So when you look, that's when things kind of manifest to you. Now, imagine that Satan and his angels somehow got a supercomputer like CERN. That's a supercomputer, basically. It's a quantum particle collider. And what if he was able to manipulate reality? What if the program itself, the deception that runs through media, television, and even in the conspiracy world, was designed and simulated to deceive the world in such a way where it kind of alters reality? What if it puts someone in a different operating system to where now their reality is altered? You've noticed, though, those of us who see this stuff and we look at these realities here, we connect these dots and we find the truth behind it all. Those of us, we all generally seem to believe in a lot of the same things. You find someone who's a full-on NPC, believes the narrative 100%. Those people are, I got to put your comment up there, Scott. These people, it's almost like they operate off of a different program. You know what I'm saying? They're operating off of a different operating system. Something else. And it makes you wonder, programming, is that really programming? That they're programmed now differently. Okay, scales and veils falling off of people's eyes in the Bible times. Think about this. Think about Paul. Okay, Paul was a full-on Christian unaliver. Saul was the worst of the worst, right? And then one day, out of nowhere, he was chosen by God. Out of nowhere, Jesus, straight out of nowhere, says, why do you persecute me? And he's like, who are you, Lord? He knew whoever was speaking to him was God. Who are you, Lord? And it's like, yo, I'm Jesus. You persecute me. You persecute Christians, the body of Christ. What are you doing? Strikes him blind, right? He receives a healing and then declares Jesus is Lord. So now he's on a mission to share the gospel with the world, man. So he goes and does that. I made a couple videos on this recently, but he came upon Ephesus in Asia and was speaking the gospel. Well, in that area, it was a high trade area, right, with silversmiths, and they were making money off of their false gods. So Artemis, the fallen angel that posed as a god, the daughter of Zeus, had fell to this earth. And there were silversmiths making trinkets out of the image of Artemis. So backtrack a little bit. When he hit this town, and he was preaching the gospel, he was telling everybody, hey, you guys worship false gods that were made by hand. He took one look at Artemis, at this image of Artemis, which I actually have. I have an image of it. Hold on. Let me pull it up because I just covered this, so I had to. I think I sent the. No, did I not send the picture to my computer? No, I might not. Never mind. I don't think I sent the actual picture to my computer, so we'll come back to the conspiracy chart. I'll kind of zoom out here. But anyway, it's this obviously handmade trinket. Okay, here, wait. We can Google it. All right. Yeah, we'll just Google this. Image of Artemis that fell from Jupiter. Image of Artemis. Let's see. Maybe I have to type in relic. Let's see. I'll say that fell from Jupiter. Image of Artemis that fell from Jupiter. Let's see if it'll show up now. It's crazy, dude. Oh, what? Look at that. There's the freaking... Okay, so that's what I was going to get to next. See that top part of the rocket? That's shaped... That was the rocket used. That's Orion that was used for the Artemis mission. And that top piece there is shaped exactly like that thing that the silversmiths made to deceive the people. And they were making little versions of it. And they were saying, this is the image of Artemis that fell from heaven. Man, where's that relic? I know it'll be here somewhere. But I did some research and found it. I cannot believe that they're actually showing that rocket. Let me type in relic. Where's the relic? Where is it? Image of Artemis. Really? I'm not going to be able to find it now. See, I think they've caught on to me, man. It's like they're removing it now from my search history because I exposed it yesterday. There it is. Oh, wait, that's my video. Here's... Wow, I can't believe Google actually had me on the algorithm there. But yeah, here it is. So you don't have to hear me talking. But yeah, that's the image of Artemis right there, that relic. And I kind of compared it to the top of Orion's rocket. I did that recently on TikTok. But yeah, there it is. Look at that. I'm wearing the same shirt. But yeah, that is insane. It's exact. Right? So point is, Paul went and exposed these, false gods and everything. And they didn't want him to cut into their money. They made a lot of money off of that deception, but it was these false gods' deception. And that's what NASA and all these, frauds have done. I'm looking to see if my ban has been removed. It hasn't. Wait, has it? Let's see. Appeal approved. Okay, now I can get back on TikTok. All right, so here, I'm going to restart my TikTok. And we'll get back to the conspiracy thing. And sorry for you guys who are watching the YouTube. We got to get back into the presentation. Okay. So we've got this this whole pyramid here. Now they're saying the further you go up, the more dangerous, right? We've got, I'll just let you see, QAnon, of course. Now, I want to talk about something. I want to talk about a sifting process that takes place, okay? Now, of truthers, you've got your mainstream truthers, right? So QAnon would be a part of that mainstream kind of truther, thing. Trumpism, being a Trumper, that's another mainstream truther thing. So here's what I believe, okay? And I'll give some examples and things. But you know what the ultimate truth that they're trying to hide you from is? I'll just say it. The ultimate truth that they're actually trying to keep from you is the truth of God. The truth of Jesus Christ. Now, there are anti-truth movements all over the place. There's even truther movements that keep you from that ultimate truth. For example, so you got your UFOs, right? Okay, you got UFOs. So that's the alien conspiracy. What does that rely on? The UFO conspiracy. Now, there are crafts that fly around. Now, are they aliens from outer space, stars and light years away? No. They're interdimensional, right? These are fallen angels, demonic beings, the Nephilim, things like that, right? So you'll have your ancient alien theories, your ancient astronaut theorists. They'll do a whole television show, right? So they have this whole mainstream television show about UFOs. So people who are watching this television show about UFOs, there's now this whole idea that, so we look at ancient history and we see that they had help with aliens and they came down and gave them technology. Dude, before your show Ancient Aliens came out, or Ancient, that's what it's called. Before that show came out, did you know that there was already explanations for all that? Through the book of Enoch and the Bible, there were giants in those days. You ask about how the pyramids were built. I believe angelic technology and giants. I mean, let's be honest. So that's one of those. Imagine that the conspiracy world, that the truth movement, that the whole thing is this cylinder of nets and screens, right? And if you make it through these screens, they have another screen to catch you. So it's like, okay, I see these crafts in the sky. We can't deny this, that we see these beings. I mean, there's people having abduction stories where these beings come into their room and they're like giving them sleep paralysis and they can't move and they can't scream and they're stuck there. So there's all this like paranormal / UFO kind of stuff happening. Well, they've made it that far. Now they need to gatekeep and say, okay, we can't let you go beyond this point to find the real truth of the truth. So we've got to keep you like right here and make you think that we're concealing a certain truth from you. So they're aliens from outer space. Now, what's the ultimate truth? It's Jesus, guys. I mean, it's Jesus. That's plain and simple. There's a Messiah. God in the flesh came to this earth. Ultimately was crucified. He did it for humanity. He brought the Father to show us truth, to abolish all these authoritarian religious cults, honestly, who did at their core worshipped false gods for selfish gain. The ultimate truth is Jesus. And I'm sad to say this, but you'll have your people who are truthers, and every single thing they go over is just awesome. They'll take you down that rabbit hole deeper than you've ever been before. They'll bring you the best cabal info. They'll bring you the best flat earth info. They'll bring you the best of everything. But then they'll bring you that anti-Jesus content. So I believe in these casting nets, in this giant sifter, where if you get through and find out every single truth there is, but you don't find the truth of Jesus Christ, then I think Satan will be happy with that. And I think there are channels out there, there are people out there, there are even government paid shills, I believe, out there that they know that there are some people that have already found out about the true earth. They know they've already found out about all of these things. They know that there's no way now. They've seen too much. They've seen too much. They already know about all of this stuff. Okay? So they can't stop them from knowing what's already out there. But what they can do is send them a content creator who is very well spoken, very well researched, and creates this narrative that ultimately makes you believe that Jesus is a conspiracy too. And I have friends who fell for that one. But see, if you don't have experience with Jesus, also, by the way, those of you who argue over the name, man, that's ignorant. That is so ignorant. A relationship with Christ is just knowing him. Knowing that who you're thinking of is the one who came in the flesh, the Messiah. Whether you call him by his original Yeshua name, whether you call the Creator, the Most High, Yahweh or Yahuwah, if you're referring to the Most High God, if you're referring to the Messiah, the Son of God, then your heart resonates that this is God. He knows who you're referring to and who you're talking about. So if you use the name of Jesus, he knows you're talking about him. He's not going to sit there with his arms folded and say, he didn't call me Jesus, or he called me Jesus, not Yeshua. I'm mad. No, he ain't a dummy. He's not like the people you mess with in the world that get easily offended, and they're so ignorant. They are so ignorant that they let little stupid stuff offend them. See, that's why people are so divided, is because they're ignorant. People are so divided because they don't have the intellectual maturity, the spiritual maturity to let stuff go that doesn't matter. And now you've got these self-righteous, well-researched educated Christians who are now condemning the spiritually immature but growing. You know what? I think someone who hasn't read a word of the Bible, who knows nothing but Jesus is Lord and Jesus is good, God is good all the time. What's good is God, what's bad isn't. Knows the general that Jesus came and sacrificed himself for him. Knows the basics, but is good-hearted and is lets stuff go, isn't easily offended. You know that God himself, the Most High, refers to someone who's quick to anger or gets offended easily as a fool. That's why I try to shy away from getting offended easily, or even at my brothers and sisters, like condemning them on things and getting all twisted up out of sorts, because I don't want the Most High God referring to me as a fool, dude. You know what I mean? That's foolishness. It's stupidity. And why do you think that God would think that being quick to anger is foolishness? You're talking about the one true God who created patience and created forgiveness and operates in it and teaches all the biggest lessons in the world based off of those principles of patience and forgiveness, kindness, forbearance, bearing down, getting through stuff, having faith. So, listen, I'll be honest with you. When I'm going down the truth rabbit holes and stuff, hey, I see you, David Shane. Love you, brother. Deep pockets. Deep pockets. Mr. Man. We still got trolls. No matter what you do, you're going to have the trolls. Dang, we got a lot of comments. I got to put that one up. Someone said I was their favorite content creator. That means a lot. That's awesome, man. All glory to the Most High, man. All glory to Jesus. Look, I ain't ashamed of Jesus. I ain't ashamed of him. I ain't ashamed to talk about him. And I'm definitely sure not ashamed to say that he's the truth and the main truth that they're all trying to keep you from. You wonder why the book of Enoch was removed from the Bible, and you think about that. It's like, well, that exposes the enemy. And there's one way directly away from the enemy, and that's straight to God. That's straight to Jesus, man. Look, I'm going to tell you about a personal experience I had. Why? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's, what's that guy's name? Jesse. No. What's the guy's name that gets real into the occult stuff and he's really educated and he goes real deep into the Masonic order and he's really articulate and I want to say Jesse Peterson, but that's not him. Jordan Maxwell, that's it. Jordan Maxwell. He's another one of those last ditch efforts to like steer you away from Jesus. You know what I mean? Because he's so educated. He's got so much information, and he'll take it all and twist it to a point where it's like, this is why Jesus really isn't the answer. Eric Dubé, God love him. He's got a lot of great information. He's got some of the best flat earth content. He's got some of the best cabal content. He's got some of the best anti-evolution content. But then he's got the anti-Jesus stuff, man. And I'm like, look at that. That's one of those guys where if they know that you figured out the moon landing, you figured out the flat earth, you figured out everything, well, they're going to try to get you. They're going to send you content creators where everything is perfect but that one thing. And then you're going to believe it. Here's why you can't tell me. Here's why you can't tell me that Jesus is not the way and not the answer. So I was into the occult and stuff. I started getting into binaural beats, astral projection, and things like that before I received Jesus. Before I said, okay, maybe Jesus is the way. You know that the moment that I found, so I listened to a testimony. I believed the testimony. This guy, he was shot at with a pew pew from point blank range, like 10 rounds. Nothing hit him. He was unscathed. He gave his life to Jesus, right? So then I thought to myself, well, maybe Jesus is the way. The moment that I fathomed the possibility that my spiritual journey should include Jesus Christ, the moment that I decided that, I started having actual demons coming into my room, holding me down on the bed, physically assaulting me, choking me, doing all these things to me. And I sat there and I couldn't say a word. You can't move, you can't breathe. And you know what? If you're here today, I promise you this. I know this for a fact. I know this. That some of you listening right now, I'm telling your story. You have had this happen too. You've been on a spiritual journey. You've been on this awakening process. And freaking real demons have come into your room while you're going to bed. And all of a sudden, you're stuck to your bed. You can't move. You can't scream. And you have demonic shadow figures and things in your room. I know this. Why? Well, because you get led here because you're one of me. That's the only reason you find stuff like this. Us together. We're in this together. We're chosen by God, man, for a purpose, to spread the news. You know, so we're going to be attacked by demons, man. These forces in this realm, dude, that try to do anything they can to keep you from Jesus, man. Now, when I was doing all that other occultic stuff, they left me alone. But the moment I said, maybe it's Jesus, that's when they started attacking me. And I laid in my bed, dude, and I could think the name. That's the only thing I was thinking, Jesus, Jesus, until I thought it out of my mouth. The moment that I spoke that word, the moment I said the name of Jesus, these things disappeared, dude. These demons had to go. They had to flee. And I'm thinking, dude, that's biblical. That's scriptural. Right? So the name Jesus, I didn't even know about the name Yeshua at that time. But I guarantee you the name of Yeshua would have worked just the same. Why? Well, because either one, you're referring to the Messiah, the one whose name you use to cast out demons. Okay? Now, I started researching this. Did you know the first? Yes, because you believe it. Boom. Now, I had a guy, and I've been telling people this. See, in that moment, when those things were in my room, I sought out for help. I had just heard this testimony. I saw that Jesus can make miracles happen. So I called on the name, reaching out for help. Help me, Jesus. And bam, there he was to help. Now, I didn't know what this was. My heart was crying out. Yes, Joshua, absolutely. My heart was crying out the name because I couldn't say it. And then finally, when my heart shouted it loud enough, my mouth was able to say it, dude. The devil's greatest trick is to make the world believe he never existed. Yes, we're in this great deception right now. Man, I'm reading some of these comments. If Jesus is not the only way, the teaching is corrupt. That's true. And see, all these other religions say Jesus is one of the ways. Yeah, maybe. Jesus says, I am the way. Look, Jesus is the only one that came down in the flesh, the Father in the flesh, man. Now, when that name worked to cast demons away, I was sold. And nothing's ever going to change my mind. So when I start seeing that Jesus just so happens to be the most hated by the mainstream, I'm thinking they're covering up headbands that people are wearing. You know, I've seen sports things where people are doing whatever. And they say, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Christ. And it like blanked out the word Jesus. Like it's a swear word or something. So, why do the demons hate Jesus so much? Why do they want to fake an alien invasion? Why do they want to do all these things? Well, because if everybody dropped everything right now, if everybody just dropped everything and said, you know what? I'm going to start studying who Jesus was, what he represented, and I'm going to start doing my best to do that exact thing. Well, then the deception would be over. The matrix would break. It would fall apart. And they wouldn't have any more power. I have had sleep paralysis before, and yes, it was once I started to truly believe. I'm telling you, man. Look at how much they mock Christianity at the Olympics. Yeah, they mock it. You know, I just put out a video on TikTok. You guys can go watch it, which I just talked about this and everything with the YouTubers. Because TikTok banned me already. And but I got back on. I did appeal it. So thank you guys for waiting on me there on that appeal so I could get through it. And Baby Joey loves watching your lives. Awesome. Thanks, Baby Joey. The Baby Joey out there, you're the greatest. I really appreciate you. Yeah, JT, they banned me, bro. They banned me out. I appealed it. They let me appeal it and got me back on TikTok. So, it took a minute, and the guys on YouTube, I'm sure, were kind of annoyed, so I had to jump on my phone and do that whole thing. But that's the ultimate one. That's the ultimate truth. And you know what? Here's what's scary. I just disappeared. That's not what's scary. Hold on, I hit the wrong thing. Help. Okay, here's what's scary. Is if I hadn't had that sleep paralysis experience where I'm being held down in my bed, there's demons running around in my room, and I shouted the name of Jesus and they fled. If I hadn't had that experience, you know what? I might fall for the deep rabbit hole conspiracies that Jesus and Lucifer are the same person, or Jesus never really existed. It's all just a story of astrology and they're trying to make it a literary form. Or no, the story of Jesus isn't true. That story really is just about your 7 chakras and the 33 vertebrae and the sacred secretions dripping from your pineal gland. It's the awakening process. All that garbage. I would have probably fell for that. I probably would have fell for that. Because I love the deep rabbit hole conspiracy stuff, and there's a jolt about finding out that you were lied to about something and then finally figuring it out, and it kind of brings you this piece of power. But by the way, you guys who have done the research, I'm not taking away from the biological process that receiving Christ gives you. I'm not taking away from the cosmological and astrological story in the heavens that is written as the clock turns above us. I'm not taking away from God's story in nature. I'm not taking away from any of that. But you've got your astrology guys arguing with your biology guys, arguing with your nature guys, arguing with your history guys. And everyone's just so, it's this or nothing, it's this or nothing. But see, I believe God, who created everything, is so brilliant in his creation that he can write the story of his coming in the flesh, in our biology, in the cosmos, in nature, in history. What is loosed in heavens, loosed on earth, what's bound in heavens, bound on earth. I believe it can all play together. But see, recognizing one and then discrediting the other, I believe is silly. Now, I have watched things occur in my life where it's almost as if there was this inevitable thing happening. Okay. I felt that there was no way out. I felt I was bottlenecked and pigeonholed into this decision. And it was like this fork in the road where this situation was going to play out this way, whether I liked it or not. So that was kind of like living in that bound on earth feeling. See, if you're called to a purpose and you're doing this whole purpose thing and calling thing and following the Spirit where the Spirit leads you thing, if you're doing that, you're gonna be faced with like some big, like biblical moments of life where there's this decision and it's like there's something inside of you that's pulling and saying, this is happening. And this is where you turn or you don't. And you can feel, and it almost feels like everyone around you are actors in this play. It feels like you're the only real person in the world and everyone's NPCs around you for the moment till you like make that decision or something. It's so weird. It's so weird when you can hear God's voice through people when they don't even know they're sending you a message, I guess you could say. So, with this simulation theory, I've been looking into it. And I wanted to advertise. So next week on Tuesday, I'm going to be on David Shane and Ricardo's podcast. I was on there a few months ago. And we're going to be talking about the Mandela effect, which I don't know if I saw that on here. I'm sure it would have to be. Where would it be, though? Where would they have the Mandela effect? Would they have it up here in the the red? No, I can't find it. But anyway, the Mandela effect we're going to be talking about and different things like that. I really truly feel that there's something going on. There's something going on a level that is difficult to understand. But when I seen that documentary, What the Bleep Do We Know? Hey, what's up, Peach? When I seen that, I thought, wow, hold on a second. So this is where science like meets spirituality. So the quantum physics is where science and spirituality sort of find that four-way meet, right? And I'm like, And I think when I started looking into quantum physics, I was like, wait, science is just man's imperfect conclusion of God's perfect creation. And they're gatekeeping now. So basically, they're digging down to the very, very bottom of things. What up, Cap? Dude, I haven't seen Captain in a minute. What's up, my man? They're digging down to the very, very core, the building blocks of creation, if you will, and then coming up with the natural explanation for it. That's what I see. But there isn't an explanation for the observer effect, right? So you had Neil deGrasse Tyson, and those of you who haven't looked into it, and I know I talked about this earlier, but I'm going to get a little bit more into detail. So the observer effect was brought about through the double slit experiment. They were shooting so the double slit experiment, there's two slits, and you shoot either water through it, like you actually dip it halfway into water, and you make waves in the water, right? So the waves will hit those two slits, they'll come through, and there'll be an interference pattern, right? So with light, the light waves go through the two slits, and instead of just showing two slits on the wall, the light will create an interference pattern where the light comes through the two slits, hits each other, over and over and creates lines on the wall. Okay? Now, they tried it with electrons. They shot electrons through those two slits, and those electrons were creating that interference pattern on the wall, the multiple slits. Hey, what's up, Jessica? I'm glad you got to catch the show live today. And they said, oh, wow, so electrons behave as waves. That's weird. But then they set up a camera because they're like, I want to watch these electrons because this doesn't make sense. So we're gonna set up a observing device and watch these electrons go through these slits and see where the interference takes place. So they set up instrumentation. And believe it or not, when they observed it, it acted like matter. It acted like particle going through those two slits and just creating two slits. But when they turned the camera on to observe it, there would be an electron halfway through the slits. It would stop, go back in time, right? Because it was going through in wave form. It would stop, go back in time, and then go through in particle form. So it was reality itself saying, oh, someone's watching. I've got to behave like a particle. So with wave-particle duality, it's not that the waves, okay, so imagine it like nothing is solid. You've all heard that before. So the nucleus, and so everything is electricity, let's just say, energy. It's light and sound, really, is what everything we're experiencing. So there's no real particle. It's all energy. But when you observe reality, then it matters. So I believe that's where that phrase comes from. It doesn't matter, or it does matter. Well, what does matter mean? It materializes. So if you allow something to materialize, then it matters, right? So basically, when you're observing reality, it's matter. When you're not, it's just fluid. But then it makes you wonder, this happened whether a person was observing it or a camera was observing it. It's just, as long as there's something there to observe, it's just like the same concept of if a tree falls in the forest, but there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, if reality is happening, but there's no one there to experience it, is it real? That's the question. No, it's not. So then you have Neil deGrasse Tyson, aka Shil deGrasse Lyson, going on record and saying, well, the double slit experiment wasn't what people thought. What really happened was they're turning the light on and off. He introduced a whole new independent variable into the experiment and lied publicly on Steve-O's channel, I think it was, and just basically added in a factor that didn't exist in the experiment. Hey, what's up, Kevin? Bless you too, my man. So then that's how I knew right then and there. I had some friends of mine saying, man, maybe the observer effect is a lie. Maybe that's a deception to try to get people thinking in the simulation direction. But no. Once Neil deGrasse Tyson went on record and tried to tell people it wasn't what they thought, now you know that it was exactly what you think. So that goes to show, what does that prove? Okay? It proves intelligent design. That's a proof for intelligent design. There's no natural process in which reality itself acts and reacts differently based upon an observation, an observer. So there's an overall consciousness that is aware of your awareness. And it behaves depending on if it's being observed or not. That, my friends, is what is called design. Design. Okay, so Ryan Williams. What was the part that Neil deGrasse Tyson added, he said, the observer effect isn't what people think it was. He said the scientists were turning on and turning off the light. They were turning on the light, and that was causing the electrons to behave differently. So it was an independent variable that wasn't a part of the experiment. The light was uniform. The light was just on because they were observing, these particles shoot through these two slits. So he added in a false variable, a straight lie, to try to make people say, oh, well, see, even if light waves were implemented, that still would maybe make a difference slightly on the interference pattern, but the interference pattern would be there, light on or off, because of the behavior of the particles themselves. So, or if they continuously behave like waves, is what I'm saying. So, but even if that were so, it still doesn't explain the fact that the particle would stop midair and go back in time, then go through the two slits again. So basically, what we're talking about is reality itself knows when we're experiencing it. So what I call that would be the Holy Spirit. What I'd call that is God's program. Quantum entanglement, whatever. But if God is, and is throughout all things, and created all of this, then he has formulas, mathematical concepts and equations and sequences that are all running constantly, right? It's a program that's running. Ultimately, we do live in a test, the ultimate test, but I don't believe that God is the tester and the tempter of our faith or our journey. I believe Satan is the tempter and the tester, and God just observes and accepts us. But we're still here on an ultimate test, and that was the test that was started in the very beginning. Now, thank God we were given a new covenant to be under, because under the old covenant, we wouldn't have made it 10 minutes. But there is grace. There is mercy. God's loving grace and mercy on us. Now, back to the deception and deceivers. Now, I truly believe that we are running like an operating system almost. Because the moment that we receive the Holy Spirit, once we receive that baptism in the Holy Spirit, and that really is something. Now, whether you like to hold true to terminology or whatever else, but biblically it's called the baptism of the Holy Spirit. Baptized in the Holy Ghost. Now, I don't know who's went through that and who hasn't here, but it's undeniable. See, only you know if you've been through it. And it is 100% a life-changing experience. You will know. You'll just know. And a lot of the times, it happens the same way. It's weird. Dude, you know what got me on this kick today? Was I was listening to a channel on YouTube called Understanding Conspiracy. It's a guy named Paul. I've really enjoyed his content lately. He wrote a book called The Nephilim Look Like Clowns. And he was doing some experimentation in the DMT world and going into psychedelics and things like that. And he was seeing these demonic beings that looked like jesters. He had heard about them for a while, but then finally, after using for a while, he actually had a flashback of where DMT is kind of released randomly through a flashback is what it's called, but it's where you immediately go into hallucination from past use, and bam, he saw the gestures. So he goes into the Nephilim, the descriptions of the Nephilim, why they look like clowns. Well, really, the modern day clown is like a caricature of these beings, right? Which is cool because he goes into, I could never begin to cover it the way he does. And that's his thing, and he's incredible at it. But anyway, I was listening to his story, and it was so wild, and it just got me thinking. Because he had the same kind of experience that I did. He first started to realize the world is not what it seems, started getting into the conspiracy route, and then started to understand that spirituality was a thing, but just which is it? He started getting into Eastern philosophy stuff, like the stuff I was getting into, the occultic, the esoteric, the, lucid dreaming, probably. I don't think he mentioned that word, but I was getting into that stuff. Lucid dreaming, binaural beats, starting to learn, try to do outer body experiences, astral project, stuff like that. He was getting into all that same stuff. And then he also did the whole, God, if you're real, you're going to have to show me situation. God undeniably showed him. He followed the Jesus route and then started having sleep paralysis. And these things happening to him. Actual demons coming to attack him for leaving exactly where they wanted him. And that's what sleep paralysis is. It's where you're not quite there in finding the ultimate truth, that all of these lies are ultimately there to lead you away from. The moment you find it, or even fathom it, the demons who had you exactly where they wanted you come to collect and try to keep you from doing that. Jessica asked, did I ever learn how to astral project? No. Never got into the astral realms, but I did outer body at one point. But lucid dreaming, I was doing a hemisync, like, I guess that's what they call it now, but binaural beats was what it was called back when I was doing it. Wearing the headphones, putting those frequencies in your ears, laying there, meditating, and trying to rise up out of your body or train your mind for lucid dreaming. I got pretty good at that, at being able to lucid dream. Getting used to looking at your hands and spinning around and flipping light switches, just getting in the habit of doing that. So when you were in a dream, you went to do it and then you realized, oh, this is different. I'm dreaming, Alicia says, it's easy for a Pisces to lucid dream. Yeah, it was. And as a kid, I did it all the time. Not trying to, not trying to lucid dream. I just did it because I was a little kid. I was looking into this stuff, astrology and things, and finding out that there's a lot to it. Found out I was born during an eclipse, so that's something. I don't know what, but a lot of people who are born during eclipses, they have these intuitive kind of ways about them. So here, we're going to go back to this. It's so weird, some of this stuff that's in here, but, alien abductions. Okay, so here's another thing, did you guys know that there are alien abduction stories where people have sleep paralysis, and they're just having a sleep paralysis experience while these grays are around their bed, experimenting on them or whatever. And they've shouted the name of Jesus and the aliens disappeared. Did you know that? Did you know a guy uncovered over 400 cases like back in 2012 or something? He worked at MUFON. Did you guys know that? No? See, that's another thing with the alien deception. You know, you've got Werner von Braun, which is a super interesting whistleblow, right? He whistleblowed on his tombstone. He said, Psalm 19:1, you know, the heavens declare the glory of God and the dome of the sky speaks the work of his hands. But then he was doing supposedly a little whistleblowing to his associates before that time. And Carol Rosin was one of those, right? So here's another example of those really neat conspiracy theories that are actually misleading. They have a lot of truth to them, but then the ultimate truth is hidden, okay? So Werner von Braun was talking about the staged extraterrestrial threat, which they've been slowly but surely programming people for a long time, right? Well, Carol Rosin goes public and is talking about it. And she says, the last card, she's like, there'll be asteroids, and then they'll weaponize space, and then the last card will be the staged extraterrestrial threat. But then she goes on to say, but it's all a lie. It's all a lie. We need to befriend these beings because they can solve all the false dichotomies that we got out there. The climate crisis, the energy crisis, yada, yada, yada. There sits Stephen Greer right there on the panel. I'm like, so mostly truth. The meteors and asteroid problem, we're kind of seeing that now. A lot of stuff's falling out of the sky right now. I think they're angels either trying to get back up there or there's a war right now in the heavenlies. And there are more beings getting shot down. Either way. And then I do believe that they're going to stage something because they got the technology to do it. Blue beam, electrogravitic technologies, stuff like that. Where the deception, the double layered deception, double conspiracy comes in, is she goes on to say that they can solve the climate crisis and energy crisis. False dichotomies that were put in place in the first place. So there you know that, So what I've put together is this a reintroduction of the Nephilim? Is this a redo on creating the Nephilim, the New Age Nephilim? Is this a reintroduction of bringing the fallen angels to mingle among men and start genetically intertwining with mankind once again? Because it's just funny to me that these things are going down. Talk about the weaponization of space as one of the big key clues before this great deception takes place. Well, Space Force was established, the 6th military branch, in 2019. And for those of you who don't think that Trump is a player in the game, he's the one who announced it. Proudly. Kind of like announcing proudly Operation Warp Speed. So guys, what I'm trying to say is, I promise you, some of the big creators out here that are spreading some good information, 90% truth and stuff. It's like that one thing seems like everyone's trying to turn you away from. Is the truth of Jesus Christ, man. It's almost like, and when I found out about flat earth and was really digging into it, man. Look at this flat earth here. When I really got into this, I was like, yes, finally. This is new information that is now going to spread, and then no one will have any excuse. If the earth is exactly as biblically described, Well, then that means God's real, which means the Bible's true, which means we can finally get a leg up on these demons, man. Oh, look, so this was 2021, and it says secret satanic rituals. Yeah, they're not even secret no more. They're doing satanic rituals right there on the main stages at the Olympics. They're not secret no more. And they just have a guy's name up there. Cultural Marxism. Are you kidding me? And they have it in quotations. Are you kidding me? Oh. See, that's funny too, because that just sounds like a band name. Space lasers. Hollywood is turning your kids say. Oh, and that one. Bill Gates, that came from the horse's mouth. He said, if we focus on gibbities and abortion, we can bring that number down. So it's just so weird that a lot of these are here. Illuminati, everyone knows the Illuminati's real. Protocols of the Elders of Zion. I mean, I think this one had enough substantial proof with it too. Jesus is king. Thank you for keeping him first. You're a good servant for Christ, brother. We're a particular people, aren't we? Or peculiar people, aren't we? Just like his word says we will be. Yeah, we're going to be hated, you know. We're going to be mocked, ridiculed. It's just the way it is. You know, even in the truth community, man, I'm going to get flack for just being so Jesus. But man, if you guys just took the time, you know, I'm not trying to shove nothing down your throat or nothing, man. Just take the time to like really dig in and look at this. Look at this thing from all angles. You know, most of the people who buy into things like Jesus and Lucifer are the same person, or Jesus was a stolen idea from the original religion. You know, all the people that actually buy into that stuff are usually the ones who haven't even read the Bible. You know what I mean? They haven't read it and allowed it to speak to them and allowed it to, you know, they haven't sought out. Which, you know, the blame isn't even on them. You know, the deception is so good. You know, that's why we have layers to this conspiracy realm. That's why we have the mainstream, like the deep state, you know, and the Trumper type truthers. You know, we have that mainstream truther, and then we have all the way up to flat earth and stuff. You know, it's like there's layers to it because there are some concepts that all the people were figuring it, they were figuring it out anyway. So now Satan might as well hijack the movement now and control it. And then set up those gates and parameters. You know, set up those walls to where, okay, these people know about this anyway. Let's put out our own content creators who are going to cover this material that these people have already figured out. There's no turning back. Now let's pollute that and make sure they don't get much further than that. Let's start twisting it around, you know, and keeping them stuck. You know, like this. Biden is a robot. I've never heard this one. Now, does Biden have doubles? Yeah. Is it a little weird? Does he seem like he's wearing a mask sometimes and it's maybe somebody else? Yeah. Does that mean he's a robot? No. They denied these for the longest time. They said, no, you guys are absolutely nuts. We are not spraying anything in the air. Nothing. And then finally they said, okay, we are, but it's for climate change. We need to reflect the sun back up. You know? Hollywood does turn. Yeah. They kind of do, Jessica. Diddy, yeah. And then, finding out about the Hollywood stuff. It's like, all right, we're going to give you Diddy. All right, we'll give you that one. And then this one, like, guys, come on. It's radiation. Of course it's harmful. It's just, what are you willing to put up with? You know that the mainstream even says, don't sleep in the room that your Wi-Fi router is in. Like, that's normal. And this is is this at the dangerous level? Dangerous to yourself and others, it says. Ancient giant trees are dangerous to yourself and others. Wait, the Wayfair thing? Planned. What? Moon landing fake. See, it's so weird looking at all these in this chart, because the person who made this, Abby Richards, whoever, you know that there's people that believe this. There's people who believe that everything on this list is false. Except down here, they do believe these things that actually happened. Why though? Why do they believe these? Because they were in mainstream news? Man, it's so weird. All right, I'm going to react to some comments for a minute. Let me, we didn't go over everything in this, but I just wanted to say, guys, we seem to be in a weird time where things are kind of coming to a head. I believe that the elections are just theater and stuff, but it's all of this stuff is a mark of a timeline. So all of this stuff, it's going to make a difference in what's really going on. It always is. When is the world going to wake up? When is everybody going to say, enough's enough? I don't know. But I do want to lean in something that's a little bit more encouraging. So, I will say, despite all the deception going on, despite the evil rulers, despite Satan's rule and throne right now, and all this satanic rituals and all this crap going on, despite all of that, just know that you're here for a reason. The truth always prevails. God always wins. That's just the way it is. Okay, you're talking about the programmer who programmed this whole place. The one who created it all knows. The corrupter knows his plans. Already knows he's lost. And I think even the corrupter knows he's lost. I think even Lucifer knows he's lost, man. Satan's lost. We're protected. We have angelic protection over us. And what's the worst that could happen anyway? The worst that could happen is our vessel's taken out. And then we get to be with the Father anyway. So really, there's nothing to fear. And they need fear. They need us to fear. I need to read the Bible and go to church. I only recently started truly believing, so I should try to know as much as I can. Yeah, man, R1, 4, N6, just get that personal relationship with God, man. If you believe, then pray every day, and just communicate with the Father, and just look for when he's talking to you. And yeah, man, get in the Bible, read, just And if you don't like reading, man, throw on the dramatized Bible and just listen. And then you'll know, because like you'll be listening to it, and then something will pique your interest, and you'll pop to you and be like, oh, where is that? And then you'll find it in there, and then you can read around it to kind of study further and meditate more on it and stuff. Because sometimes listening to it, it's kind of like in one ear, out the other, even sometimes. But the thing about the Bible is it's not like you don't read it once, cover to cover, and then it's like, okay, I've read the Bible. The book's alive. It's weird. It's like a Holy Spirit translation. It's like you'll read it once and you'll get this revelation from it, and you'll live by it, and then you'll read the same book again a second time, and you'll get something completely brand new out of it. It's alive. It's why it's the top number one sellers, because it does have a spiritual thing about it, where you'll benefit from it no matter what. Many false prophets in the end times, taking the focus away from the Bible, minimizing. Oh no. What? Are you kidding me? I gotta submit appeal again. I just got banned from TikTok again. I don't know. What was on my screen? Was it just me? Did I go to monologue screen? Yeah, it was just my face. Man, that's 2 live bans in one day on the same account. Wow. Well, you guys know you're getting some truth today if I got banned on TikTok twice in a row. Okay, guys. So, by the way, I finally put my Cash App, I think, or my at least my link tree where that's at. If you guys do want to support the channel, please do. And I was thinking about that today too. And this is weird, but I used to be the guy who was like, the truth's free. No one should be asking for donations and supporting a channel, dude. Da 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 da. I was so naive and ignorant in saying that, because then I started to actually try to do a professional stream and get nice microphones, a good computer, good software, running the program, making my own intros, making my own backgrounds and all that stuff, and actually doing it at a semi-professional level, and realized how much time and money that takes. So honestly, I'd be more worried about channels that say they don't need your help. Because if they don't have a full-time job and they have a professional setup and they don't need contributions to help with the channel, then that probably means that they get the contributions elsewhere, which is a little bit scary. Who's supporting your channel? Who got all your equipment? You have time to stream every single day, all day, and you don't have any supporters that send you contribution? Now, I'm not saying, some people are just well off, I guess, and are retired or don't need a job, but yeah, I figured out you can't really do both. You can't have a full-time job and have a completely professional streaming setup and do it like all the time without getting like banned all the time. I just don't see that happening, So it makes me wonder. But then I was thinking, and I don't want to name drop or anything, but that's kind of what brought me to that conclusion with Eric Dubé, And I'm not one who likes to go out here and start calling people shills and stuff. Like I said, Eric Dubé did great, fantastic work, especially with flat earth content and stuff like that. But then I'm like, why all this amazing stuff? And then you've got the anti-Jesus content. And there was a lot of people who did suspect him as being a shill. But see, I don't think he would be a shill for flat earth. I think he would have I think he has great flat earth content. I think he has awesome debunking evolution content and really everything. I think the only thing that I've disagreed with is when he says that Jesus isn't who he said he was. You know? So guys, if you did have experienced sleep paralysis or know someone who has, see, that's the scariest part about it, is once it happens to you, you're afraid to talk about it because you're like, oh no, people are just going to think I'm crazy if I say, oh yeah, I was stuck to my bed, couldn't move, and there was demons holding me down. That's not going to go over well in any setting. Yes, they know the house of cards is falling and they're desperately clinging to the little power they still have. Oh man, that's the way I see it, Sensimilla. I see it as like the narrative is a vase that fell off of a balcony and it landed and it turned into dust. And I can see him trying to drip little drops of super glue into that dust and try to like shape it back into a narrative. The narrative's crumbled. It's gone. Probably a comment got you banned. Maybe the missing kids one. Maybe. I don't know. No. It was on TikTok. TikTok got me. I was banned on TikTok. I'm still going on YouTube, looks like. Twice, yeah. Yeah. I've been censored pretty bad. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel. I'm trying to get to where I can actually support myself through YouTube, like get the super chats thing going. Try to find like people who do want to support the channel, because I'd like to get to a point where I only have to go work my weekend job and take that plus what I can generate through support. I haven't made a Patreon though. I'm lazy. I'm not on here every day. Well, I'm not lazy. It's just after trying to network, pick up jobs, go out, work, come home. Like by the time I get home, I got like an hour or two before I got to go pick my wife up. And honestly, I don't feel like setting up the whole stream because that takes and I wouldn't be able to go for very long. You know what I mean? One of these days though, I'm going to have to push more and try to stream every day if I can. I want to try, okay? I can't make promises because I just have a lot going on. But one day, I believe the channel will grow to that point. I have to set it up. I have to figure out how these guys got all the support that they get and just try to achieve that. What do you think of the no chest demons? Yeah, the night terrors, Jessica, absolutely. They happen to everybody that's, I believe, a Christian, really. I think it happened to people who truly believe at some point in their life. I feel like it would have to. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it only happens to a select few. Maybe it only happens to people who have to have it happen to them. Because like for me, like I said, I think I would have fell for the anti-Jesus content if I hadn't already used Jesus' name to drive demons out. I just know myself. I know how I love the rabbit hole. I know how if I didn't have evidence and 100% proof of stuff, then I can fall for certain things. And it would have, maybe I would have finally snapped out of it, but I don't know. If I didn't have that experience with using the name of Jesus on demons and then watched all of Eric DeBay's content, maybe I would have fell for it. Who knows? What do you think of the young earth theory, believing the earth is only 6,000 years old? This being humanity's first go around. Ooh, that's a good question. Let me do this real quick. let me do this real quick. Answer that question. All right. So have you guys seen this presentation? So this is what we're made to believe we live in. But see, the UN uses this, World Health Organization. But have you guys seen this? You know, this is the moon map projection. Moon, a mirage, reflection of Earth's surface. This is a paper in like 1964. So this projection. So maybe the sun has been in this area for 6,000 years. But what if the whole Earth that God created is actually older and the sun has been cycling around the lands? And the sun, just this go round, has been here for 6,000 years. And that's why we have that book. Because what if, I don't know, I'm just speculating. I don't know. But what if God starts a new Eden, you know, every time that this gets to a new area? I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? More inclined to believe that civilization has reset a few times with all the ancient structures that we got. Yeah, man. I mean, seems like it, don't it? Satan doesn't care about you or if you've already lost. He's chasing after the believers to lead them astray. That is true, Kevin. I mean, think about it. You know, and that's my main argument for the Trump thing. You know, people are like, no, the demonic side is Biden and all them. I'm like, yeah, duh. That's like the obvious demonic side. You know, Satan doesn't have to deceive who he's already deceived. You know, Satan doesn't have to deceive those who are falling for that end. If they've already fell for the deception of that style, you know, then he's already got all them in his pocket. Satan needs to deceive believers. And how does he do that? Only with wolves in sheep's clothing. You know, Satan has to think more bug zapper when it comes to getting Christians. Because if Satan is just typical, obviously demonic, then no Christians are going to gravitate that way, and no Christians will get duped by it. But if Satan thinks like a bug zapper, and thinks, you know what, I got to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. I gotta pretend to be a follower of Christ, even, you know, to try to get these people to follow me down off this cliff, Pied Piper style or whatever. Oh, sorry, I didn't put that on the screen. I thought I had that comment up. But yeah, Satan doesn't care about you if you're already lost. He's chasing after the believers to lead them astray. Yeah, if you're already lost, he's got you you're basically a backseat driver. Or he's a backseat driver. But the moment you put your hands on the wheel and try to move, then gotcha. I'm interested in the quarter Earth theory that you did a TikTok on. This is it. Now I call it 4/4 because that's where, you know, there's 1/4 inhabited right now, and there seems to be about 4 of those on this whole map. But it's actually called something else. I can't think of what it's called. Melting and freezing with the Prague clock. Yeah. So in this presentation, I show the clock in Prague. So that's a little bit of historical evidence, sort of, for this the shape here. I believe your theory and what 7 Club is showing. I prefer the multiple resets theory because we have proof. We do, man. The quarter theory is fascinating. They are all in it together. They give us 2 choices, but they pick the president no matter what. Yeah. I believe God is using Trump as he has used other rulers in the past for the betterment of his people. How do we deal with judgy church people? Do we need church to follow God? Do you need a building? No. You need the church to follow God, because that's fellowship. You know, Satan would like to catch you out alone so he can try to deceive you. But when you have fellowship with your brothers and sisters, then you have the church. A building, though, a repetitious, every day the same thing on a Sunday, you don't necessarily need that, but you need fed. Now, this is coming from a pastor. I pastor my own church, and my sister and I, but I don't think you need it. But I'm telling you now that it's useful. You need Jesus. You know, you need fellowship. You need people. Now, whether it's in a church or not, I think a lot of churches today do more harm than good. And when it comes to judgy church people, I wonder, man. I wonder if they even have the revelation of Christ. You know, because once you have the revelation of how good God is, man, and how much he loves you and loves everyone, then it makes you want to treat people different. Makes you not want to judge anybody, because you yourself, man, Christ forgave as if you're the only one on the planet. So he would with the same people, for lack of better words. Planosphere, really, is what I should say. Plane. But out of everyone else here, you could have been the only one that he loved enough to die for, and he did. So when you have that revelation and really feel it deep in your soul, you're not really judging other people. You're just kind of like, I get it. And you know, it's a two-way street. We should also have compassion for the judging people. You know, if you only judge the people who judge, well, then everybody's going to judge everybody at some point. So just know that this world has been set up in such a way where people are programmed, man. They're brainwashed. They have this idea of what church should look like, of what you should do. When 90% of the time, those who are more judgy are worse than us. You know, worse than you, worse than me. I don't judge anybody because I don't have any room to judge anybody. I try not to judge anybody. I don't have any room to. I'm a dirtbag like everybody. You know, we're dirtbags. Literally. Adam was taken from the clay. He's a dirtbag. And we're all these little dirtbags that God loved enough to call us his own, you know. We have been reset many times, but a big reset happened not too long ago. I also believe that the flood is still receding. Could be, man. Yes, we are all mortal meat suits. Our souls are everything. Yeah, man. Our spirit dwells within us. Changing perspective is huge. Huge. Rick and Morty's. Rick's Mudman. You know, I used to... I still do kind of now and then watch Rick and Morty. I own the box sets and stuff. Then I found out the creator of Rick and Morty was a P3DO, man. Then I kind of skipped out of it. And we're all going to judge. See, I just judge, but how can you not? And you know, the Bible clearly states that we should not harm children. Clearly states we should look out for the widows. Has anyone noticed the moon is off-centered like 30 degrees? Tilted now. Really? Yeah, maybe I did notice that. Last night, dude, it was like 4 times the size of what it normally is. We're not here to judge. If we love him, we should feed his sheep. Sometimes we just plant the seed. God gives the increase. Amen. Amen, Kevin. God brings that increase. Amen. We got climate change, the climate stuff. See, I think that these maps were put here to kind of throw us off the scent. Because you got people who are into this one. And there's books written about this stuff. I was given a book. I want to look into it. Yeah, the creator was weird, but I think he handed it over. I think he doesn't have control over Rick and Morty anymore. Commute climate scan. Yep. Yes, Moon was missing for over a week. Yeah, I missed the missing moon thing. I wasn't really a part of that. Discern the world, 144. They pushed the gibbety, and we're just lots making about it. Just not talking about anything of true importance. Yeah. Yeah, man. Once 2020 hit and that all happened, I think it woke up everybody that's going to wake up. I mean, we might have some new people waking up, but I don't know, man. Let's see if TikTok unbanned me or not. They did. My appeal got approved again. Yes. Thank you. Why are people reporting me so much? You know it? Why are they reporting me so much? I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. All right. Let me pop back on TikTok, or let me hit my live again. Get some people back in on TikTok. And we'll play this game. And then once it's over, I gotta go. Seen a moon bow like rainbow? Yeah, I've seen those. It's like a circle around the moon. Yeah, those are cool. I've seen a moon bow like a rainbow. That's what's up. Your husband hasn't woke up yet? Well, he will. It's got to be tough being married to somebody who ain't awake. See, my wife, she's awake. She sees it, you know. She's not as passionate about it. She's more like, that's your thing. I know the earth's flat. I know all this stuff. I trust you as my husband. Anything you want to reveal to me, do it. I get it. I'll agree with you. I'm just not passionate about like spreading that truth. So I get it. All right, guys, it's time. We are now doing Flat Earth Jeopardy. So you guys ready for this? So I need your guys' comments because you got to pick categories now. And we'll see how many points you guys can get as a community. So, refuses to see it. Well, hopefully it'll happen. Moon Halo, my husband is awake to some things and other things he ain't, and it's frustrating. Yeah, you just gotta be patient, you know. If you're married to the person, just love them. Hey, maybe sometimes it's good to just, ignorance is bliss, so maybe it's good to have somebody who's neutral and believes. I know maybe you'll get lonely and stuff, but that's where you gotta get connected with your community, man. Be on the platforms, watching content creators and helping spread that truth in the comments and doing your thing, man. I need to get some coffee and be right back. All right. Can't force someone to wear the glasses. That's true. All right, guys. So those of you coming in on TikTok and those of you right here on YouTube, we have categories here. We've got Flat Earth 101. Glurfs say the darndest things. NASA said it, not me. Fact or theory or fallacy. So you guys just pick a category that you'd like to go with, and we will go from there. Everybody walks up at their own place. Hey, I always say same place, different pace, right? So we're all headed towards truth. We're all headed toward the same place, just at a different pace, right? But in the end, the truth will be revealed. It will. Zoom in on the condiments on the space station. Oh my gosh, really? The ketchup bottle's sitting there level and full. The hot sauce. I bet so, dude. Yeah, because it's not an anti-gravity place. All right, guys. So we have these categories here. You guys want to pick one? We've got fallacies for 400. Okay, here we go. The Earth isn't flat because nobody has shown me a picture of the edge. Where is your firmament you speak of? What fallacy is this glober using here? When a glober says, the Earth isn't flat because nobody has shown me a picture of the edge. Where is your firmament you speak of? What fallacy is that? Do 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 do. Nobody answered? Okay. Appeal to ignorance or argument from ignorance. Just because they haven't seen the edge, so to speak, they think that there could not be a flat earth. That is argument or appeal to ignorance. All right. Now, fact or theory, fallacy. NASA said it, not me. Glurfs say the darndest things, or Flat Earth 101. What'll it be? Definitely Globers, yeah. What'll it be, guys? We've got Flat Earth 101. We've got Glurfs say the darndest things. We've got NASA said it, not me. We got fact or theory or fallacy. What'll it be? Fact or theory for how many points? We'll just go with 100. Gravity. Is gravity a fact or a theory? For 100 points here. Is gravity a fact or a theory? What do you guys think? What do you think? What do you think? Theory. Ding, 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 ding. It is a theory. The theory of relativity. All right, what's next? Next one. What do you guys think? Let's see. What's next, guys? We've got Flat Earth 101. We've got... Ooh, someone said Glurfs say the darndest things for 300. Glurfs will tell you that you can watch a boat go over the horizon, but at the same time, they'll tell you that you cannot see curvature from what altitude? What altitude? Glurfs will tell you that you can watch a boat go over the horizon, but at the same time, they'll tell you that you cannot see curvature from what altitude? What altitude do they say you cannot see curvature from? Well, I guess it depends on the glurf. Ooh, 120,000 feet. Any altitude that any human has gone besides the ISS and the moon. So yes, 120,000 feet is correct. 35,000 feet is correct. Pretty much any height, because we've been to all those heights and there was no curve. All right, what's the next category, guys? By the way, YouTubers, I won the appeal on the TikTok. I'm back up. So someone keeps reporting me, but I'm not violating community guidelines, so they let me back up. Fact or theory, 200. The heliocentric model. So the solar system, the heliocentric model with the sun being in the center and everything revolving around it. Is that a fact or a theory? Atomic Joe says fact. Kirk says fiction or theory. Melipuru says fact. Aura says theory. Jessica says theory. Daniel says theory. Okay. Star Crystal says theory. And let's see. Oh, theory. It is, in fact, a theory. Believe it or not, it is not proven. Did you guys know that? So the heliocentric model has not been proven. Did you know that even the fake images from space still doesn't prove a heliocentric model? Yeah, let's say you even believed the fake images of the Earth from space. Well, that still doesn't prove that the Earth is what's going around the sun. You know, even if it were real, or at least you believed it. No, the heliocentric model is actually a theory. And Einstein and Stephen Hawking both said there is a kinematic and dynamic equivalence to the heliocentric and geocentric models. They're actually the exact same. It's just that the geocentric, which was where all of our data was collected, was actually reverse engineered and reimagined to make the heliocentric model. So, yes, it still remains a theory. All right, next topic. What's your category? What would you guys like? I'm not parroting Witsit. I'm actually quoting Einstein and Stephen Hawking. But, that's how quotes are. When someone says a quote, you put those little quotation marks around it, and then you say it, So if someone else says a quote, and then I say a quote, well, that's why it's a quote. It means that someone said something that turns out to be, accurate. So then you say it again, because now that is information that is now spreading around. Flat Earth 101. Okay. For 100, let's go with 100. If the Earth is flat, then how come we can see the sun rise and set every day? How does that work, guys? If the Earth is flat, then how come we can see the sun rise and set every day? What do you think? What'll it be? What's the explanation for that? Something moves away from us because of perspective. Me Puru says perspective. Linear perspective. All right, we got some perspectives out there. Because of angular resolution and perspective. The convergence of everything above our eye level and everything below our eye level will eventually go into the apparent horizon and no longer be visible. So those who said perspective, you are correct. All right, what's next? We haven't touched NASA said it, not me. Should we hit that category? Let's try it. NASA said it, not me, for 100. When NASA was asked why they haven't been back to the moon in such a long time, NASA's engineer and science guy, Don Pettit, said this quote. When NASA was asked why they have not been back to the moon in such a long time, NASA's engineer/science guy, Don Pettit, said, what? We lost the technology, Jessica says. Star Crystal says, we lost the technology. Lost technology. Ooh, I'm seeing a lot of lost technologies out there. Let's see what Don Pettit's exact quote was. He said, I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. Problem is, we lost the technology. We destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. That was my best impression of Don Pettit, but that was his exact quote. He said, and I quote, I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. Problem is, we lost the technology. We destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. Wow. I'm just going to start clicking categories. Fallacy for 100. When false flat earth models are created to make flat earthers seem stupid, what would that be called? Let's say, I'll give you an example. The model where it's the disk floating around in a heliocentric model, rotating around the sun. What would that be called? Oh, I see it in the comments. Straw man. Could it be a straw man? Oh, that's when you've created a straw man, something that's a little easier to tear down, right? That's a straw man fallacy, my friends. All right, next category. What'll it be? Let's see. Let's do factor theory for 300. We can observe boats in the ocean far beyond the supposed curvature of Earth. Is that a fact? Or is that a theory? Is that something people just make up? Or can we really observe boats in the ocean far beyond the supposed curvature should allow? We all know this one. It's a fact. Hence, the rapidly exploding flat earth movement. This is what flat earthers are made out of. Literally, this is why you have flat earthers, is because there is no curvature of Earth. It's pretty simple. I seen someone in the TikTok chat say, you can't make a straw man of the flat Earth. Yeah, you can. And here's how you do it. You come up with any model that's other than the ancient depiction of Earth, the biblical depiction, and that's straw manning it. Mixing the models. When a debate is taking place, this is fallacies for 200. When a debate is taking place and the glurf decides to distract and mislead the chat by bringing up an unrelated issue. What is that called? Oh, look over here. Uh-oh, the flat earther's about to make a point. We better change the subject quick. I seen it. Red herring. Got it. Nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed it. All right, we've got, let's see, someone in the YouTube chat had asked for a, what'd you guys say? Factor theory? Factor theory 400. Most all of images of Earth from space are admittedly computer-generated images. I'll say it again. Most all of images of Earth from space are admittedly computer-generated. Oh, I see him coming in. Fact. Photoshop. Brady Rowe, sorry. And that is a fact. Straight from the mouth of NASA themselves. Fact. And speaking of, Let's do NASA said it, not me, for 200. NASA claims that they needed to solve a certain problem before sending people through this region of space. What problem do they need to solve, and where is this region of space located? Oh, I see it already. Derek got graphics. Jessica in YouTube nailed it. The problem of the Van Allen belts. They are bands of dangerous radiation that any human would be unable to survive traveling through. This region is located between, you guessed it, the Earth and the Moon, somewhere where we have supposedly been, which is weird. And I guess we must have destroyed that technology too. It must be a painful process to build it back again. All right, now, Flat Earth 101 for 200 points. So, you're telling me that every other planet is a sphere and Earth is the only one that's flat? What do you say to that one? What do you say to that one? So you're telling me that every other planet is a sphere and Earth is the only one that's flat? Ooh, Lucas, Earth is not a planet. Oh, I'm seeing some good answers. There are not other planets. Seeing some good ones. Here we go. Please do not allow that straw man model deceive you. The luminaries above, in the firmament, are stars and wandering stars, and they have no direct correlation with the realm that is beneath our feet. Just keep it simple, guys. They got a straw man built into... Did you know that the heliocentric model is really just a straw man itself of the flat Earth? It's a weak version that has weak concepts that try to destroy the biblical and ancient depiction of Earth and make it brittle. Glurfs say the darndest things for 100 when talking about Earth's atmosphere impossibly existing next to the infinite vacuum of space without a container. Glurfs claim that blank acts as this container. What do they think is acting as a container that somehow saves the second law of thermodynamics from being completely violated? Gravity. You got it. Gravity. Jessica got it. Scott got it. DJ Perky 5000. Or 555. All right. NASA said it, not me. For 300. Buzz Aldrin said this to an 8-year-old girl during an interview when she asked him, "Why have we not been back to the moon in such a long time?" Now, this is Buzz Aldrin, supposedly the guy who walked on the moon. What did he say to that poor little 8-year-old girl when she looked into his eyes like the big hero he is and asked him, "Why haven't we been back to the moon in such a long time?" And he just couldn't do it. He couldn't lie to her. So he looked her in the eyes and he said, "That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know. But I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, then it's nice to know why it didn't happen." Wow. Ain't that something? He looked in this poor little 8-year-old's eyes and just couldn't lie to her anymore. He had to tell her, Well, it's because we didn't go there. And that's just the way it happened. So simple. So simple. Flat Earth 101. If the Earth is flat, then explain a lunar eclipse. Why is Earth's shadow seen on the moon? Wait a minute. Hold on here. This can't be right. If the Earth is flat, wouldn't there be like a flat shadow on there? As Childegrass Lyson would say. You'd get like a flat shadow. Isn't that what he said? Well, I'm going to tell you. A Selenilian eclipse shows both the sun and the moon above the Earth's horizon. If this had happened only one time in history, this would show that quote-unquote shadow on the moon is not a shadow of Earth. Duh. Refraction! Refraction! Oh! Get out of here. Glurfs say the darndest things for 200. When trying to minimize Earth's curvature and deflect from the 8 inches per mile squared globe math, Glurfs will typically bring up a new formula for curvature by stating that the Earth only curves blank per 69 miles. What do they say? Well, the Earth only curves per 69 miles. One little itty bitty baby degree. But that 1 degree is a whopping 3,000 feet. I think it's actually 3,701 feet or something crazy like that. That's a lot of feet, man. The 1 degree is bigger than you think, man. Oh! Fallacies for 300. Most people believe that the Earth is a globe. Therefore, it's a globe. What's that fallacy, you guys? What is this one? I see it, just a Greek, or just a geek. I'm glad you're a geek and not a Greek. I'm just kidding, you could be Greek. Just hopefully you're not all into that Greek mythology stuff, man. You got to get up there away from that stuff, dude. Get out of there, bro. Most people believe the Earth is a globe. Therefore, it's a globe. It's appeal to popularity, appeal to consensus, appeal to authority, appeal to tradition. It could also be begging the question. It could also be bandwagon. It actually falls within 4. You know what? We still haven't found the curve seeker. You're going to be still looking. Don't plan on changing your screen name anytime soon, man. Don't ever plan on changing your screen name anytime soon, my man. No, we haven't found the curve. We're still looking. Amen, bro. Hey, I'm Jesus forever too, my man. Hey, heliocentric is a cult, came to say hello. All right. Flat Earth 101 for 400 whopping points, man. The stars rotate the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere. How could that be possible on a flat Earth? See, this one, everyone needs to go ahead and put this one in your pocket. Okay? This is one that everyone needs to know at some point. You know it? How is that possible on a flat Earth? Look, people are already saying, it can't. The stars rotate the opposite direction. How could that be possible on a flat Earth? I'll tell you. Here it is. Your perspective plays a large role in this. You see in a dome of vision, right? This has been done in a small scale model, showing that this phenomenon is due to perspective. Perspective. So there are models that you can try this. Here's the thing. If you guys want to know, what they've done is they have hijacked They've hijacked hyperbolic space and they've sold it to you as Euclidean spherical geometry. Did you know that? Did you know that? You see in a dome, you see in hyperbolic space. That's what you experience. But instead of saying, "Hey, you live in a flat topographical Euclidean plane, but you see in a dome." No, instead they say you live on a ball and there's a celestial sphere around you. Now the celestial sphere is still, it's kind of there. It's in half spheres above you in any given space that you're in. Okay? But they've hijacked it. You get it? So when you're watching the stars move above you, it's in a hyperbolic. They go the same direction, all of them, at all times. It's just that when you're there on the equator, they're so far away on that other side. And in your perspective, they seem to rotate the other way. But they're all going the same direction. Just depends on where you face. It's like if you were to stand, okay, if there was a ceiling fan, okay, if you're in your bedroom and you bought a giant ceiling fan, that's, if you lived in a big round house, a big cylinder, and the whole ceiling is a fan, and it's just 4 feet above your head, it's kind of dangerous. Now, it's spinning, right? This fan is going. Now you're going to stand right in the center of it, looking up at now you're going to walk about halfway out into the room. Now imagine these blades going above your head, right? And you're standing right in the center of a full blade. So you're in like the middle of the room. Okay? Halfway across the radius of the room. Now you look up and you're watching that whole fan blade move above your head. The whole thing. And around. Now face inward to the blade and look up. Which way is that fan turning? It's turning counterclockwise. Now turn around and look up. Now which way is that fan blade going above your head? Oh, it's going clockwise now. What? No. Is the fan turning the other way on the other side of the room? No. It's that you're facing that way. Can you not understand it? Dan, people don't get it, man. Because then it was funny because Professor Dave could not understand this. And he was like, you put a clock on the ceiling and you tell me any way that you could look at it and it's spinning counterclockwise or clockwise, whatever, the opposite direction. Well, it's not going to work with one little clock. You've got to imagine the hands of the clock being the size of the entire sky for it to work. It's a really easy concept to get. And then imagine hyperbolic space on top of that. So yeah, they're going to appear to go the other direction at the other side of the sky. Okay. Maybe I need to make a visual of that for people because I haven't seen someone do it or explain it that way. But I need to make an animation or something where it makes sense to Globers. But I think they do get it. They just aren't allowed to. All right, Glurfs say the darndest things for 400. Glurfs typically use one word or one phrase comebacks when debating the flat earth. What are some of these famous words or phrases? Yep. Gravity, refraction. You don't know how science works. Just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it isn't true. They use a lot of those. NASA said it, not me. NASA claims that our Earth in the heliocentric model is moving at a total of over how many miles per hour altogether? Hey, we might have hit a new milestone. I don't think I've had a troll in my YouTube channel yet. Welcome, Dan. Welcome. You're the first troll ever. 1 million, over 1 million miles per hour altogether, guys. You got to think relative motion now. We're detached from the sun. We're detached from the Milky Way and all that stuff. So we're in the frame of reference of rigidity, just in space. Just sitting there in space. And then the Earth takes off from that one little place in space. It's going to leave us at 1 million miles per hour. Or faster than that, but, you know. Isn't that wild? Flat Earth 101 for 500. So you think the Earth is flat, but every scientist, pilot, astronaut, and teacher disagrees with you. So you're telling me that they are all in on the lie too? How do you reply to that when someone says that? No, this isn't fallacies. This is just Flat Earth 101. So when someone comes up to you and says and asks you that question, so you think the Earth is flat, but every scientist, pilot, astronaut, and teacher disagrees with you. So you're telling me that they're all in on the lie too? What do you say? Do you think they are? Because I don't. I don't think they're all in on it. I really don't. They just believe it too. Yep. No, they are victim of the education system just like you and I. Those who know the truth conceal it through compartmentalization and keeping things on a need-to-know basis. Yep. Only the elites and controllers really know the bottom line. I'll give you an example. There's a guy named Rick LeBrode who was the flight director for Artemis 1. So he was in NASA. I mean, he was a NASA operative, right? He was the flight director in mission control for NASA. And he had a bunch of displays in front of him with a lot of symbols and numbers and data on those screens. Well, he got interviewed. There was a guy who went in and interviewed Rick LeBrode. And he said, "Tell me about some of your displays here." Right? And he said, he goes, "Well, honestly," he said, "this is more for my supervisor to know, my handler, basically." He said, "I could maybe see something change a color here, and then I'll let my superior know, and they're the expert." So he didn't actually know. The flight director in mission control actually didn't know what his displays were. Can you believe that? So that just shows you the level of compartmentalization where even the flight directors during NASA missions don't quite know what they're doing. But why would you argue it? If you show up to NASA every day and you go sit in a chair with a bunch of computer jargon in front of you, and you just wait for things to change colors, and you let the guy with the earpiece know what you saw on the screen, and they're the specialist. They're the ones who say, "Monitor this screen, make sure nothing changes. If anything does, just let me know." And you collect a check every week for just going in and doing that. Running what they call simulations, which they run about 60 or 70 of those before the actual mission, which they all say the same thing. The simulations are indistinguishable from the real missions. They're the same. Same concept, same idea. Right? Sticky Biscuit says, why would the education system do that? Well, the education system is rooted in philosophy. Philosophy is rooted in cultism. Cultism is rooted in power. So let's do the heliocentric model, for instance. So there was a general belief. It all came from biblical texts, right? There was the one true God who described his creation. It was the ancient depiction of Earth, which just so happened to line up with all the depictions of Earth cross-culturally without them ever talking to each other. It was the topographical plane with the firmament above. It was the general concept of cosmology. So then all of a sudden, some philosophers, which were into more Greek mythology and ideas of that nature, they wanted to have their work published. They were cultists. Pythagoras actually had what was called Pythagoreans following him around. He was literally the definition of a cult leader. So Pythagoras, he was a philosopher who decided that the earth was a ball one day. He said, the sphere is the perfect shape in nature. I think the earth is a sphere. So then it became the consensus over time, the spherical earth, which then went to heliocentrism, which was brought about philosophically as well by Copernicus. All these ideas came about through philosophy. Remember, mind you, before like Antarctica was ever explored or anything like that, any exploration was done that would connect all the land that had been explored into a sphere anyway. The ends of the earth weren't even discovered when the earth was philosophized, theorized as being spherical and in a heliocentric model. Still, these concepts have not been proven, So it boils down to pride. I mean, it's pride, wanting pride, recognition, power over the education system. When the Rockefellers took over the education system and the pharmaceutical and medical world, they did away with truth and holistic approaches to things, and it became a harvesting people's minds and creating, what was his quote? I want a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers. It was all about extinguishing creativity, which if we're made in the image of the Creator, then creativity has to get squashed. The truth has to get squashed. And really, to boil it all down to the ultimate thing, it was to hide God, man. You got to think. When these angels fell, they wanted to take over the institutions. They wanted to take over the powers of the world and run the world, through that deception that they were running. So in order to do so, they had to take over the education system. The flow of information is the flow of power. If you control the info, you control the power. Because if you control the info, you control the people. Because information is education. You control the age of enlightenment. You change it for something it's not. You keep all the knowledge to yourself, feed everyone else lies, so then they depend on you for everything. And then at some point, you can't remember where the truth ended and the lie began, so then they almost rely on you to lie to them. And you control their minds. You control who they are. You control the fact that your consensus that you've built around the education system, the scientific community, you've built now an anti-God consensus that then strips people of their power, because if they don't have a connection with their Creator, then they are nothing. They came from nothing, they'll go to nothing, so they might as well live a nothing life in the process. If you're living a nothing life, then you need something to lean on. Well, they provide that. Food. The 7 deadly sins you can gluttonize yourself with until you die, basically. Creating a docile, weak society of a bunch of nobodies who came from nowhere, and they're going nowhere. But now if you preserve the truth and preserve the kingdom of God and preserve the work of God, then those fallen angels and false gods would have been called out from the get-go, they would have been demolished, squashed. And really the power comes from believing it. So, that we could crush these fallen gods just by turning our nose up at every single lie they tell. So like if we all just decided today to stop believing what they throw at us, then they wouldn't generate any more popularity. If everybody, which I know now they have bots, and we're at a place right now, like the flat versus globe, or the people who do believe in NASA, the people who don't. Here's what we have now. So, and this is why NASA has turned off all their comment sections, and this is why that every social media platform needs bots and trolls and stuff now, is because when SpaceX does put out that video of, showing obvious fake footage, well, the people who actually care are people like us who are going to comment and actually give a crap, are the ones who know it's fake. The people who still think the space stuff's real, they don't care. They're living their everyday lives. They're going to their work every day, coming home. There's not really a whole lot of true NASA, SpaceX fanboys who are just loving it and they're commenting. Most normal people don't really have time to care what space agencies are doing. It's like, the only ones who actually care are us, who know it's fake. So they need now bots, trolls, and everything to try to, tip the scales and weigh in on the discussion. And that's really why NASA just turned their comment sections off, because they had way too many. So anyone who did kind of care, they would go in and see that the majority of comments in there on NASA's comment section on YouTube were all flat earthers exposing it. You know what I mean? So like now we're at a point where they really have no choice but to hire people and just have AI that act like it's real. You know what I mean? Because anyone who truly actually looks into it figures it out. And I think that even goes for some of the trolls that just didn't really ever look into flat earth. All they ever did was go watch like Dave McKeegan and Professor Dave, watch anti-flat earthers that lie, and they just chose to believe them. Even if they went unbiasedly and looked into it, I think they'd see it too. But then at the same time, I think that honestly, man, some of these guys are running off a different operating system. Like I think they can't see the truth even if they do see it. You know what I mean? I think they're programmed so deeply that even if you show it to them, undeniably, they completely see something else. You know what I mean? And flat Earth is it's exploding too rapidly and too fast and blowing up so big that, there's nothing they can do. When I first heard about flat Earth, I was like, dude, there can't be like 10 people in the whole world who actually believe this stuff. I was like, there's no way. When I saw that there was conventions being held and there was thousands of people going to them, I was like, there's no way. Like these people have to be joking. You know what I mean? But then I looked into it and they genuinely believed it. And then I had to know why. And then I realized, well, duh, it's because it's the truth. That's why they genuinely believe it. So, and I realized at that point, I said, wow, it's over for anybody. Like anybody who gets past this can't be, there can't be flat earth. Anyone who can get past that and get over themselves for just 20, 30 minutes and go actually dig into this, they'll never turn back. I mean, that'll be it. It's over. Because it's so easily, the globe is so easily disproven. It's simple. So that's how I know, like some of these people in here in the comments that are trolling and botting, that's how I know that they're not real. Like these are not real people. Real people can figure it out easily. They're either not real, they're either AI, they're paid trolls, or they're demonically influenced or working off a completely different operating system where they just simply can't see it no matter if it's right in their face or not. There's no other explanation. There is no other explanation. I'm telling you, because for me, I'm a pretty analytical guy. I'm logical. I like to, really lay it out there. And I did. And once you start journeying in, it's easy. I mean, all you have to do is know some basic math. Okay? And then you go out and test the curve. When it completely, your observations go completely against the spherical geometry that they put out there for you. That's simple stuff, you guys. It's really not that difficult. And then you start looking into the history of it. You find all the witchcraft and sorcery that's behind the heliocentric model. That documentary Heliosorcery goes into the cultic roots. You find all the symbolism. You start realizing that these are just the false god worshiping, demons that were around since the beginning of time. So then you connect everything historically, you connect it scientifically, socially, right? And it's over, and it's a never ending thing where you keep connecting new things, you find new proofs, you find new stuff, and there's no end to it. So that's how I know that there's no actual, logical, genuine person who is an anti-flat earther, who is a glober, who gets this close to this discussion and still believes the globe. There's no such thing. You know what I mean? There's no such thing. I can't genuinely believe that there are people who get this close to the discussion and still choose to believe the globe. I'm not buying it. And I think the more people that actually do and I get it. I get why they have these types of accounts, weighing in on the discussion. I get it. It's for the impressionable ones who are brand new to this. It's basically to deceive. It's to make it look like the globe has a dog in this fight. You know what I mean? So like, let's say I'm brand new and I come in on this live and I'm seeing all this stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's some points there. And I start looking into myself. Well, it's over. Well, they know that. So they want people to dismiss it before they go into the research. So that's why you have so many trolls and bots and stuff in comment sections and things like that, is to deceive the fence sitters or deceive the ones who are new to this. Right? No, they're Snoopy. There actually are satellites held up by electrogravitics. There is electrostatic levitation and electrogravitic technology that follow the magnetic field lines. You know what I mean? So yeah. Yep. All right, glurfs say the darndest things for 500. When flat earthers point out that theoretical astrophysicists base their entire belief system on theories and not observable facts, glurfs typically defend them by saying it's not a theory, it's a blank blank. What is it? Scientific theory, that's right. They always use that one. Scientific theory. Somebody said, how do you talk about this stuff and not laugh at yourself? Well, I'll tell you why. So, the globe model suggests that the Earth is 25,000, right? 24,901 miles in circumference, which makes it have a roughly a 4,000 mile radius, which means that the Earth would have to be curving at 8 inches per mile squared from a tangent line from your feet. So on average, at a 6-foot observer height, you would see things begin to disappear at roughly 3 miles from the observer. Now, if you were to set the camera down or your eyes down a foot above the water, you would only be able to see out about a foot, and anything beyond that would be obstructed and begin to obstruct rapidly from that point forward. So when we go out and make observations that completely contradict that math, well, that's why I don't laugh at myself or anybody who's a flat earther like I did the first couple days I heard about it. I did think it was ridiculous, but I just had to know. Now at this point, you guys, it's a social experiment at the least. So anyone with a logical mind who looks into this, and see, I think that's why they removed the number of hashtags that you could see off of a hashtag, the number of views it had. Because Flat Earth, just from when I started getting into Flat Earth, on TikTok alone, hashtag Flat Earth had like a couple billion, something like that. Or like, I don't know. Not as many as it did before they changed the hashtag numbers, but right before they changed it, hashtag Flat Earth on TikTok alone was at 5 billion. And it was higher than Globe Earth. I mean, Flat Earth was huge. I mean, it's still huge. It's rapidly exploding. And all it took for me was to see that there was more than like 2 or 3 people in the world that thought the earth was flat. Because then I had to look into it. When I saw that there were thousands and potentially more, then I was like, okay, there's something to this. There's got to be something that's making these people believe this. There's got to be something big. And then I found out there's millions and possibly more now. I mean, what was the last consensus like 3 or 4 years ago? Was it people between the ages of 12 and 25? It was like only 66% of them believe it's a globe. So like, and that was years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, or like maybe 3 years ago. So I wonder how the scales are tipped now. It's pretty much any genuine, authentic, intellectually honest person who looks into it figures it out, because it's not hard. It's all you have to do is believe reality and not try to come up with an excuse why the earth looks flat. You know what I mean? Like, that's the main thing. The earth is flat, looks flat, measures flat. And the only way to stay a glober is to just act like it doesn't and invoke crazy mirages to say it doesn't. You know what I mean? And I guess, you can stay a glober if you just pretend the earth's curving when it's really not. NASA said it, not me. NASA has tons of declassified documents that claim tests were performed over a blank Earth. What is it? Flat, non-rotating. That's right. So I have a link to 81 government and affiliated documents that admit a flat Earth. Flat, non-rotating Earth, that's right. Stars are billions of light years away. Is that a fact or a theory? That's a theory. Flat Earthers are anti-Semitic because they condemn Black Rock and love Caleb. They watched Europa, The Last Battle, on Odyssey.com, and it gave them strong views about the elites that rule over the world, so that makes them racist. What fallacy is that? Hasty generalization and association fallacy. Here's the thing with that. Anyone who is racist or anyone who is anti Semitic is an idiot anyway. That's called stupidity. You know why? Because I do believe in that quote that says, condemnation before proper investigation is the height of ignorance. I believe that condemnation before proper investigation is the peak of stupidity. You're as dumb as you can get. So you can't be anti-Semitic. You can't be racist. Because that means you're categorizing and disliking a whole group of people before you've even met them. So I don't want to be friends with anyone who can honestly say that they dislike an entire group of people before meeting them. Because that's stupid. Bakuzilla, man. I like judging people by their character. And most anti-flat earthers and the flat earth trolls, the ones that troll flat earth, most of them's character is just very unappealing. You know what I mean? Just very unappealing. Very unappealing. So, yeah. Here you go. Read it and weep. I gotta go. Love y'all. Read it and weep. I gotta go. Love y'all.